Hello, we shall be discussing on cell cycle and cell division. What is cell cycle? The sequential events by which a cell duplicates its genome, synthesize the other constituent of the cell. That is, the other constituent may be referred as the cytoplasm or the cell organelles, and eventually divides the cell into two daughter cells. It's called as cell cycle. Now, under this, let's discuss on the phases of the cell cycle. Cell cycle involves two phases. The first one is M phase or the mitosis phase, and the second is the interphase. The M phase represents the phase when the actual cell division takes place. During this phase, it starts with the division of the nucleus. So inside the nucleus we find chromosomes. So these are the phases that occur in the M phase, and this phase all takes place inside the nucleus and are talking about the division of the chromosomes. So once this phase, that is prophase, metaphase, anaphase and telophase, is completed, cytokinesis takes place. Cyto means cell, kinesis means division. So once the division of the nucleus, that is the content of the nucleus, once the division is completed, this cytokinesis will occur in the cell and divide one cell into two daughter cells, and these two daughter cells will contain the same number of chromosomes as compared to that of the parent. The second phase is the interphase. The interphase represents the phase between the two successive mitosis phase. So let's say this is the first mitosis, and this phase, after mitosis, the cell have to pass all this phase till it reach this phase again, mitosis phase again. So this phase G1, S and G2 phase, this phase represent the interphase, and these are the phases through which the cell have to pass in order to reach another M phase or the mitosis phase. The interphase lasts more than 95% of the duration of the cell cycles, and it is divided into three phases, that is G1, S and G2 phase. The G1 phase corresponds to the interval between the mitosis and the initiation of the DNA replication. So during this phase, the cell is metabolically active and continuously they grow, but there is no division of the DNA in this phase. Now in the synthesis phase, it is in this phase that the DNA replication starts, and the amount of DNA begin to increase in the chromosomes. However, the number of chromosomes remain the same. Let's take an example. In a body, there is 2 chromosomes. So during this phase, the amount of chromosomes, the amount of DNA inside this chromosome will be doubled or increased. However, the number of chromosomes, that is 2, will remain constant in this phase. So the amount of DNA increase, but the number of chromosome remain constant. In animal cells, during the synthesis phase, the DNA replication begins in the nucleus, and the centrioles begin to duplicate in the cytoplasms. Now G2 phase. In the G2 phase, protein synthesis occur for the preparation of mitosis, while the cell growth is still continuing. Some cells in the adult animals, they do not appear to exhibit cell division. Example, heart cell, and many other cells are divided occasionally, only when they are needed to replace the cells that have been lost because of injury or death. So these cells which do not divide further, they exit this G1 phase. They do not undergo this G phase, and they entered into a stage called as the quiescent stage or the GO stage. So there are some cells which do not enter into this G1 phase but directly enter into the inactive stage called as the quiescent stage or the GO stage. The cell in this stage remain metabolically active, but they no longer proliferate. That means they no longer increase unless they are called to do so, depending on the requirement of the organisms. So this is all about the phases of cell cycle.